Si quieres transformar tu cuerpo para así dominar tu vida, bienvenido, bienvenida a El Plantívoro Podcast. Hey, hello, how you doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing fine. This is my second episode in English, but I'm alone right now. The first one was with someone else, so I guess I'm more exposed, but let's see how it goes. I hope that there's someone that listens to this. If you do, please excuse my Mexican accent. I'm doing my best to communicate this to you, but I'm gonna do something interesting here. Since most of my episodes are in Spanish and I would like more audience, more people to hear about veganism and plant-based diets and all of this, I'm gonna try and do it in English. Maybe in the future French, but I'm still not good at French, so we'll do it in English. And I'm going to recreate one of the first episode actually, which is the most effective way of helping the planet. And it's really funny because I just listened to it, or I just started out trying out this veganism thing. I was in this flexitarian kind of thing where I said like, I'm just gonna eat more plant-based, but I'm not gonna be vegan. And on the weekends, I'm gonna eat meat because I love meat and wings and burgers and lots of stuff. And actually right now I'm 100% vegan, a year and a few months later. So it's a really funny transition, but let me just get into the episode, what I said on the first one. Obviously, I'm not going to say the same things because I've changed, I hope, and I can't recreate the same thing. I'm going to put my own spice and my future self will speak its mind, all right? But basically, this very, very important professor who's called Joseph Poor said that a vegan diet is probably the most effective way at reducing your negative impact on the planet. And it's just not because of the greenhouse gas emissions, but also because of the global acidification, which is provoked by us humans and by us just being alive. And ocean acidification reduces the amount of carbonate, which is a key building block in seawater, okay? This makes it more difficult for marine organisms such as coral and some plankton to form their shells and skeletons, and this just causes fish to die, all right? So we are in an indirect way destroying the ocean, and also because of the extreme overfishing that we have, there is this prediction that we will be without fish in the ocean by 2040. I hope that doesn't come true, but yeah, we're just fishing too much, all right? And also, we're using too much water and too much land to feed the animals that we eat later on. So this is what he said, and he said that it's much more effective to go plant-based, to reduce your meat intake, than, let's say, reduce flights or don't fly at all, or it's more effective than even buying an electric car. And when we usually think about going green and being more sustainable and eco-friendly, we think about electric cars, we think about reducing plastic, we think about reducing our flights, which it's all really, really good, but we never think about reducing your meat, reducing your animal product intake. And it's kind of easy. Being a carnivore and having tried it, it's really not that hard, but let me get into another subject, and that's Mexico and veganism. I'm going to talk about Mexico. I'm speaking in English, and ironically, I'm going to talk about Mexico, but it's just my country. And here in Mexico, there's a lot of it's not well received to be vegan. So, some people don't even know what that is. And there's mocking, there's prejudice, and there's questioning. Everybody doubts if it's a good diet, if it's the appropriate diet, because the culture in Mexico doesn't say be vegan. It says eat some tacos, obviously with meat from different animals. 100 different Mexican dishes, which by the way are delicious, but they are heavily based on animal products. So let's just say that in Mexico, it's not well received yet. I'm trying to change that. We're going to change the world together. But for the moment, it's not well received. It's seen as being extremist, as being ridiculous, or as being, like a trend. Like this famous girl that you follow on Instagram went vegan, so now you're going vegan, or your best friend decided to try it out, so now you're copying your best friend and you're trying it out. It's seen as a trend, something that will just die out after a few weeks, a few months. And for some people, it does happen like that, just a trend. But if you do it correctly, if you have the right objectives, if you know about the climate change impact that it has, about the ethics behind it, about the health benefits, it can really help you out. And later on, I'm going to do a lot of other episodes, I hope in English, if you do want some more episodes in English. about the health benefits. I've had them on myself and on really, really close family members. So if you want, we can talk about that. All right. So, but what it is to be a vegan? Maybe I'm just blurting out words and veganism in terms that you don't even understand. You maybe don't even know what being vegan is. So basically, being vegan is not eating anything that comes from an animal. That could be food, but also clothing, all right? Or also articles that had animal testing and that kind of stuff. So no animals have to be hurt in the process. And if there are no animals hurt, I can consume it being vegan. So my objective with this podcast, it's not to make you go vegan or to force you into something. Of course not. I'm just trying to share some information in the case that you maybe care about climate change and you hadn't heard this option about reducing your animal product intake. I'm just telling you so you can try it out. Maybe reduce 2 days, 3 days, the weekends, the week. I don't know. Maybe you want to go vegan. I would say go step by step. Don't do it overnight. But try it out, all right? That's my only objective. So please, nobody get mad at me. And one of the reasons that really got me into this plant-based world was climate change. It is said that the 6th massive extinction is going on right now. So for example, one of the mass extinctions was the dinosaurs. I don't know about the rest. But the 6th one is happening right now. We're losing a lot of animals. I just saw this poll. I can't remember the numbers right, but there's only 2% of wildlife in the world. The other 98% of animals are just farmed animals that we farmed, so we eat them. That's pretty sad. Also, in the last 50 years, the pollution has risen more than in the last 40 million years. That's a lot. 50 years compared to 40 million years. And that's us. That's our fault, all right? We can't blame it on anybody else. Another fact is that not even 1% of sweet water or drinkable water in the planet is available. From that very, very, very small percentage, 90% is used for agriculture and factory farming. And from that 90%, 60% is wasted on very, very inefficient watering systems. Another thing, and if you like polar bears, you're not going to like this, is that the Arctic may not exist by 2040. And there are other more optimistic estimations that say that maybe it'll last up to 2060 or maybe 2100. But in any way, it's going to disappear. So no more polar bears for our grandchildren or our children. They're going to be gone because of us. More than 20 million hectares of woodland, of jungle, of trees are taken down every year. And this is because of big companies' own interests and our human consumption. They take down this forest and then they put a bunch of factory farms with cows and other animals so we can eat them later on. And this is a very, very big problem in the Amazon in Brazil. And finally, by the year 2030, climate change may be irreversible. That means it cannot be fixed. And it won't matter if you're vegan, vegetarian, an activist, a carnivore, a unicorn. It won't matter because the world will simply not exist. And that's the way it's going to be unless we do something about it, which we should. We really should. Now, some of these facts maybe you already knew, maybe you didn't know the exact numbers, but we all know that our planet is going to hell. We're losing it and we're the culprits. And when we see, leopards dying or polar bears, melting away in the ice, we get really, really sad. And we're like, oh my God, how can that happen? How can humans be so horrible? But we can do something about it. But when somebody tells us, hey, you should maybe reduce your meat intake, we take that personal. And sometimes some people get offended. Ah, man. So I hope you don't get offended. And I hope maybe you would want to make a change regarding your diet because it is, as I said before, the most effective change you can do regarding climate change. Now, some of my other reasons were, well, of course, the climate change, but also this documentary that I saw, and you probably already heard of it. It became pretty famous, and it's The Game Changers. So this is a documentary that is very different from other documentaries regarding veganism and plant-based diets. There are no animals dying. It's just professional athletes, which are completely awesome, doing very awesome stuff and killing it at sports and being number one at their discipline while being on a vegan diet or on a plant-based diet. There was a lot of controversy created by this document. Of course, because there's a lot more athletes that are meat eaters, that are professional, but this is because veganism is just not that big yet. There's a very small percentage of people in the world that are vegans, but nevertheless, there are very, very good and professional vegan athletes. In this document, they also prove scientifically that a plant-based diet is highly beneficial for your health. And also, they show you studies from Harvard that prove that a vegan or vegetarian diet have a lower index of cancer, a lower risk of getting diabetes type 2, and a lower risk of suffering heart disease. The only way of knowing whether it's good or bad is just trying it out, which is what I did a few months ago. I think it was November 2019. Yes, November 2019 is when I started. So also, climate change is very, very, very important. For example, in a burger, 2,800 liters of water are required to produce that burger, and it lasts nothing. 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes in your mouth. There is also a new study that revealed that if we would get rid of meat and dairy, more than 75% of the land that we use for factory farming would be recovered. And that land is the equivalent of the whole US, China, the European Union, and Australia combined. That's a lot of land. I don't think that we will eliminate meat and dairy products, but we could reduce it. You and me together. Let's do it. And in this same analysis, it shows that our consumption of meat and dairy only provides us with 18% of our calories and 37% of our protein. The vast majority, which is an 83% of the land used, is for the land use of the cows. And it produces 60% of the greenhouse gas emission, and this is caused by agriculture, and this contributes to our ozone layer in the world to fade away, and it promotes global warming. And like this data, there's many, many more, which I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to make this longer than it already is. But I'm just going to tell you the rules of the game. So, and this is the rules of the past game. This is how I started. I wanted to do a progressive transition to a plant-based diet, but I loved meat. So I wanted to have my cheat days where in the weekend I would eat whatever I want. It didn't matter if it was meat, all right, or dairy products. And for 30 consecutive days, I would be vegan during the week, and I would have my cheat days on the weekend. I would continue my intensity regarding exercise, and I would measure my body weight, my muscle, and my percentage of fat before and after the 30 days of my vegan trial pass. I would also, track all the macros and nutrients on an app where I used MyFitnessPal, and I would see how it would go. Now, it's been a year and a few months later. I am now fully vegan, so obviously it went well. I actually didn't lose any strength. I didn't lose any muscle. I felt way, way more energized. After eating, I didn't feel like laying down and resting for a while. I just felt like I had energy. I mean, I felt full, but energized. All right. So that was one of the few changes I started to notice. And the reason that I stayed was because I just started to get more informed about climate change and get more informed about the way that animals are killed in order for me to get my burger. And that just killed me. I mean, I do have feelings. Even though I love meat, I do have a heart. So after watching a few documentaries, that's what made me stay. And other health benefits and the support of my family later on, but I can tell you about that later. So my proposal to you is that if you're new to this, if you're just interested in a plant-based diet, try it out. Don't do it overnight. Do it step by step. Get informed. Research. I have an Instagram page with a lot of information. The downside is that it's in Spanish, but you could learn Spanish and check it out. I have everything about nutrients, recipes. The recipes are pretty much universal. I mean, the ingredients are not that hard to translate. You could just go into Google Translate and the video will show you how to do it. So try out the recipes. It's called El Plantívoro, just like this podcast. And if anyone is listening to an episode in English and would want more, please tell me, because maybe I'm just talking to absolutely no one. And maybe my Spanish audience or my Mexican friends would just say, why the hell is he doing this? His audience is from Latin America. What is he doing? So please tell me if you're listening. And I just hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. And I thank you very much for giving me the time to explain all this, for putting up with my English, putting up with my accent. And I'm just sending you a big hug from far, far away. from my studio here in San Luis Potosí, Mexico. Much love and goodbye.